Mini Jake, the tribe has spoken.
Fuck you, Kevin.
Aw, fuck you too, sweetie.
I'm JJ, one of the original Tribe of Nerds members. You can catch me on Marvel, Pokemon, and other gaming podcasts.
What up? It's Josh, resident superhero nerd, but I also dabble in the occasional super villain as well.
Some may know me as the Chaos Gremlin, but really I'm just Joe King.
Pikachu, use Volt Tackle! Good job, Pikachu!
On the Tribe of Nerds. Hey everybody, welcome back to the Tribe of Nerds for JJ and I to continue watching Daredevil and reviewing the entire catalog for Daredevil. This week we are doing Defenders, so we are kind of doing the team up that Matt Murdock finds himself in the MCU before he goes back to his own show. So I guess, what are your thoughts on Daredevil, Defenders, JJ?
Defenders was pretty good. Like, it wasn't amazing, but like, especially compared to something like Iron Fist, which if I remember correctly, was the last thing that came out before Defenders. I could be wrong on that, but like, Defenders ended up being pretty decently solid, which was cool.
Yeah, I enjoyed like all the Daredevil tie-ins because like this really wrapped up stuff from season 2. Like the Electron hand stuff. Like the fact that we got a conclusion for that was really nice. And like I enjoyed everything that Matt the arc they took him on in the show. And then I really did like Luke Cage and Jessica Jones. I've only seen like clips from their shows, and I know like David Tennant, Mahershala Ali were in those shows as well, but that's kind of the extent of my knowledge of those characters. And then I've just heard nothing but negative things about Iron Fist. So
yeah, I think my favorite thing is how much Luke Cage and Jessica Jones counterbalance Matt Murdock and Danny Rand. I mean, Matt, like, I think it's more from the Catholicism side of things. He really turns himself into sort of a martyr, but then you've got Danny, who's like way off into the whole hand and Kunlun thing, which, like, that makes sense because that was his whole life. But then you've got Luke Cage and Jessica Jones, who just like legitimately feel like ordinary people who happen to have powers.
right. Yeah, it's that's the nice thing about it. And with Luke and Jessica, it's I don't really care about Danny, to be honest. Like they didn't make me want to care about him. And I get like he was also like kind of a main part of the plot of the Defenders series because like they wanted to use him, the Five Fingers or whatever their group was called wanted to use.
Yeah, the Five Fingers of the Hand.
Yeah. And so he just didn't do enough for me. It was cool to have Madame Gao be part of this like organization as well, because we knew she was working with the Hand and Nobu in season 2. And season 1, but season 2, like they expanded on it to show she was part of this. And so it was cool to get her in there. And then just I thought some of the other members of the Five Fingers were fine. Like Bakuto was cool for what he had. We'll get to Sigourney Weaver. But yeah, I mean, what did like what kind of like backstory do you have, or what are your thoughts on like the Five Fingers and how they fit into?
I really don't have a lot to add on backstory per se.
Okay.
I do think it's interesting, like given the context of how high-ranking Madame Gao is in the organization, to then look back and see what she was doing in Daredevil. Like I know that that was her empire, really, but it seems kind of surprising that she wouldn't, delegate that to someone a little less than her, I guess. In the same way that Nobu was working on behalf of I can't remember the other guy's name, but
Yeah, I can't either, but the started with an M, I think.
yeah, yeah. I mean, they introduced lots of characters all at once,
Yeah.
so it was difficult. Um, it seems convenient that they are out of the ability to bring people back to life at this point. And I know that that's a focal point of the show with getting the dragon bones and everything, but
Yeah.
like for that to happen at the same time as the Defenders are coming together, uh, that's just some peak comic book stuff going on there.
Yeah. Yeah, it's really funny just like because obviously like the beginning of the show is showing the follow-up to Elektra and like them putting her in like the coffin where she's gonna come back out of it reborn, and like I don't have much on Elektra either. All I know is Jennifer Garner was her in the 2000s and then came back for that role, and then like the limited knowledge I have from Marvel Ultimate Alliance 3 on the Switch. But like I knew there was some like mystical stuff going on with her. Like I know from the Ultimate Alliance they used her as like a vessel. The Hand used her as a vessel for whatever they were doing, and so to get more backstory on that being like the black sky, and then she's like that's what they're using her as a vessel for. I don't know. That was pretty interesting. I thought the actress for Elektra does a good job. So that's kind of my thoughts on that. But and any other thoughts on Elektra?
It's just she really is just a victim in all of this.
Yeah.
Like it's easy to think of her as a villain because she becomes the Black Sky here, but I mean, we look at what was going on with her at the end of season 2 of Daredevil, and she really was trying to become good. So, and then for this to be done to her, it really makes it feel more like Daredevil's story than anybody else's in the Defenders. Him and Danny, I think it's like both of their story. Luke Cage and Jessica Jones feel like side characters. They're not. They are main characters, but they're about as close to being secondary characters as I feel like you can be.
Yeah, I agree with that. But I don't know. Again, just like four side characters, I enjoyed them. The little we got from them more than I enjoyed Danny. I don't know. I don't want to keep crapping on Danny Rand, but
Oh no, I understand. I mean, the show didn't do a very good job of like making us care about these characters.
Yeah.
Having not seen their shows.
Yeah, that's the issue. And I guess like if I'd heard more positive things about Iron Fist as like a show, I feel like I would have had no problems like maybe giving it a shot and maybe learning a little bit more. It's just like I don't know, for the purposes of this, I was just like I want to focus on Daredevil, and
Yeah.
like if something's not as good, then I don't want to really waste my time on it. So
Yeah, the Defenders definitely feels like a show designed with the expectation that you've seen all of the shows leading up to it.
yeah.
And like it holds up okay. You can pretty reasonably well piece the story together and figure things out. I think it would be a lot more difficult, again, like we were saying, to come to the Defenders from just having watched Luke Cage or just having watched Jessica Jones, because so much of it is about the Hand, which is really developed more than anything else through Daredevil.
Yeah.
But like without watching Iron Fist, we did okay. I feel like Daredevil's pretty crucial to the understanding of this storyline.
Absolutely. Yeah. I was really happy like to at least know what was going on in that from watching Daredevil beforehand, the first 2 seasons. And then Sigourney Weaver, I had heard she was in this. I was happy to see her because it's Sigourney Weaver, of course. And then they did the thing where the movie kills off who you think is the main villain a little more than halfway through the show. And so I don't like that trope, and they did it, and I'm just like, oh, okay. I mean, I guess like it's for Elektra's development, and so that she's not just doing like the dirty work, but also it's just like, what was the point of having Sigourney Weaver here?
Yeah. They didn't really do a great job either of making the deaths feel super impactful, because when you set up these characters as ones that can come back from the dead over and over again already, like even when plot devices are put into place to prevent them from coming back again, it's still, I don't know, the death just doesn't have as much meaning.
No, and I think it's overall that's something that Marvel is struggling with a bit. I mean, I feel like every superhero property is probably struggling with it a bit, but Marvel, especially recently, has been struggling with it. So
yeah, as soon as you establish the ability to come back from the dead, then death no longer has the same impact, and it won't, and it never will again, because if there's that possibility, you know that the story writers can decide to make it work somehow. Yeah. Somehow he returned.
Yes. Yeah, the Palpatine treatment. Exactly. And then obviously we did also lose Stick in this show, which made sense. Like I was expecting Stick was probably either going to die in season 2 or Defenders, so I wasn't surprised when it did happen. And have Elektra be the one to kill him just made sense. So, I was okay with Stick going at that point. Like, I feel like we got everything we needed to out of his character.
Yeah, and he wasn't likable enough for me to care.
No.
If Matt were somebody who killed people, then I would have rather it have been him, but obviously that wasn't going to happen. I just feel like he probably deserved... I don't know. I mean, they probably both were equally deserving of doing that. Yeah,
I agree. I was like, I could definitely see Matt doing it. I feel like where he goes, because now that I've seen season 3 as well, I feel like where Matt goes in season 3 is the closest to where he will get to doing that. Obviously, he doesn't particularly cross that line until Bullseye comes in and does the thing where crosses the line and makes people think that Daredevil is actually doing that. So and then I mean, anything else you wanted to talk about, like kind of filling in the gaps, because I know there's obviously all these other characters from the other shows, like Colleen is from Iron Fist, and then you have Jessica Jones has a friend, Luke Cage has the police detective who gets her arm chopped off, which is crazy. I was not expecting it to go that far.
Yeah, I think it's necessary for all the side characters to be brought in from those shows to to put a little more weight into the Defenders. For anyone who is coming from a specific show, like us coming from Daredevil, this wouldn't have felt the same without Foggy and Karen being there, even in a limited capacity. And it's nice that individual stories of the side characters are being even lightly developed through this as well. Like you got Trish and her show and her trying to take a new direction with that. Like that's pretty impactful for how that storyline is going to continue through Jessica Jones. Claire is the only one, and I know I've said this on previous podcasts, but she's the only one who's been present in all of the shows. So I liked the approach of her connecting Luke and Danny. Because she just knows, she kind of collects superheroes unintentionally, so naturally she would be the one to introduce those two. It was cool to see Claire as well, because of watching Daredevil as well and being like, oh, Rosario Dawson's here again.
So I was pleasantly surprised to see her. Yeah, and then obviously Foggy and Karen are always welcome, so it was cool. I think what was it, like the first episode, immediately Foggy shows up, and so that was cool. And then Matt goes to talk with Karen, and this is after he's revealed that he's Daredevil to her and at the end of season 2. So it was cool to see them again.
I really appreciated the direction that Foggy was taking. Like these are good steps for him in his life. The lawyer that he worked for, oh gosh, I don't remember her name now, but
it was like Jen. It was,
yeah, she was a pretty big staple in Jessica Jones.
okay.
So like that connection, I don't think is made immediately obvious.
That makes sense. Yeah, it was just nice to see them tie people together like that. Like that's what I'm used to the MCU doing. So I wasn't I was pretty happy to like see them tying stuff together still at this point. I mean, obviously, the Defenders saga of the MCU is still in the era of the MCU right before, it ended right before Endgame. So like it's nice to still see like the connections that I think we've been missing for a while in the MCU as of recently.
Yeah, and having those secondary connections too, beyond just we all met at this building at the same time, it must be fate.
Right.
Having the little individual people connections too really strengthens the storyline's ability to build.
Exactly. Anything else you wanted to touch on specifically, JJ, with Defenders?
I can't think of anything.
Yeah, I know it's tougher. I feel like I would be able to bring up more if I had watched the other shows, which, but in terms of what like it means for Daredevil, I guess, I really liked at the end, like they make you think like Matt is going to like sacrifice himself. That's his decision that he wants to make for himself because he knows he's the only one who can stop Elektra. And so he does that. Obviously, we know that he's not dying because we're about to get season 3 and Born Again. So, and
right.
Then She-Hulk, whatever. So we know that's not happening. So I was like, okay, so how did Matt necessarily survive this? And so we're obviously going to get that at the beginning of season 3. But I mean, I'm glad I watched Defenders for that, to actually have context more going into season 3 and being like, how is Matt like completely injured and laying in, the church and being tended to and all that at the beginning of season 3. So like I was happy to watch for that tie-in, just to have more context for that.
Yeah, it's definitely important context for his story. I wouldn't have been upset if he had died, though. Like that would have been a completion of his story arc, but in a very, just that would have been very much a way that his story ends. It would have felt like a natural progression for him. Doing it in Defenders might have been strange, but also that's a really good place for it at the same time. So
right,
they could have killed him here, and it wouldn't have bothered me.
Yeah, that's fair. I mean, I like season 3, so I'm obviously glad that it didn't happen. And I liked when he's shown up so far in other times. So obviously haven't seen Born Again, so I can't talk about that yet. But no, I'm very glad that he didn't die for that reason. Because I liked where they took his arc in season 3. But
yeah.
All right. Well, anything else before we sign off at Defenders? Because we got season 3 coming up next week for that review, and then we'll get into Born Again. But anything else to close out Defenders, JJ?
I got nothing.
All right. Well, yeah, we'll be back for season 3. I'm excited to talk about. I know, like, the thing is with it's more Kingpin, but like I liked what they did with Kingpin as well in season 3. I love the Bullseye stuff. I'm so excited to talk about Bullseye because I think just to have a character that is easily manipulated, like that is someone that could have potentially been like a good person in like if he had been taken care of better. Maybe, but like also, I mean, he had psychopathic tendencies, so I mean, we'll talk about that, but I think there was a way to not have him go on his like murderous rampages that he went on. But
And that's always been one of Kingpin's biggest strengths is his ability to take people and make them do things.
right.
Whether it's through blackmail or pressuring a family member or, just sheer manipulation.
Right. Yeah. So I'm excited to talk about that. I felt like Dex was a really fun character to watch. Also, Agent Nadim was a big part of season 3, so I'm excited to talk about his story and where that ends up as well. So I really like season 3. I'm excited to talk about it next week.
Yeah, it'll be a good time.
Yeah. So but yeah, so that's Defenders. Sorry it's a little bit shorter, but we're excited to continue this, finish off the Daredevil series, and we'll be back for other Marvel content as well. We got Thunderbolts coming up in a couple weeks as well, so you'll see that review next month too. And with that, we will see you all next time on the Tribe of Nerds.